hope you are off to a great start to the week. I hope you're off to a great start to the day. It's a new day with all new possibilities and all new choices. So do not let yesterday's woes, yesterday's stresses, yesterday's worries, and yesterday's setbacks deter you from a fantastic day today. You are deserving of all the things. You are deserving of all the joy. You are deserving of all the change. Possibilities are endless. So if you have been wishing 2021 went a little bit differently, I want you to remind yourselves that this year is not over and there is still time for you to work on whatever it is that you're craving to change in your life. Whatever it is that you are wanting, wishing was different, you have opportunity now to make that happen. The year is not over. Your time is not past. It's not too late. It's never too late. And every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time is my live, The How of Happiness, where I chat with incredible women in all walks of life from all over the world on how they do happiness. And what you'll hear from our interviews will surprise you. A lot of our conversations aren't about the typical stuff that you think happiness is about. It's really just about our own personal, very candid journeys of how we get through hardships and how we overcome obstacles and how we navigate life in a very real, authentic way. So Calie is going to be joining us this morning. I'm so excited to have her. It's 6 a.m. on the West Coast, and I am absolutely amazed and impressed that she is joining us this morning. Good morning!
Hello!
I am so impressed that you are up at 6 a.m.
Look at it, it's still dark here, but I got up at 5. I got ready because I was so excited to talk to you.
Gosh, you have makeup on this morning. You are amazing.
Well, you know, when you roll straight out of bed and it's dark out, I figured I should at least put a little bit of makeup on for you guys.
So, Calie, thank you for joining me. I'm so excited to see you. I wish we were in. I just want to give you a big hug.
I know.
Get to see each other again at some point. I want to come out to the West Coast and do some fun events out there. So I know that we can maybe collaborate on something really fun in the future.
Oh, that would be so amazing. I would love that.
It would be amazing. So thank you for joining us. This is a really fun, just candid, easy conversation about happiness. It's really just meant to spread the word because, you know, we've heard so much about toxic positivity this year. So a hard time. COVID began, life has been turned upside down. And so there's been this, you know, negativity around. And so I wanted to do a series allowed people to see that happiness isn't about slapping on a smile and pretending everything's fine. It's not about, you know, just pretending nothing's wrong and pretending that all your problems are solved. This is really about learning how to navigate hardships and obstacles and difficult days and low mood and low energy and isolation and all the things we've been struggling with. And so it's just a great time for us to chat about how to do happiness. And so I'm curious, well, first and foremost, for our audience, just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do so people can get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So I am 44. I'm a mom to 2 teenage boys. I'm a holistic health coach, but I focus on mindset and gut health because I believe that those 2 things are the root of all wellness. When you get your gut right, it helps you get your mind right. And when you get your thoughts right, focus on positivity, but not false, like, you know, I'm happy all the time positivity, but like the choices behind empowering your life and your mindset, then that gives you the strength and the energy to do everything else that you need to do. So that's what I believe in, and that's what I'm out here preaching, just trying to teach people about how to be healthy from the inside out. And that, you know, impacts everything else that we do in our lives, including the way that we think.
That's right. Because the way we think is reflected in how we feel about our lives.
Yeah.
So like the gut health stuff that is so important as a foundational element in your philosophy of wellness is so key. But we'll only be as healthy as our mind will allow us to be. We'll only be as happy as our mind allows us to be. We're never going to make healthy or happier choices if it doesn't align with what we're buying into in our heads. So I love you combination because gut health on its own has incredible benefits to your overall wellness, but you can't feel and experience the health without changing your mindset too, and without even believing that you are worthy of feeling healthier or being healthier. Because our
100%.
right, it's like that's the foundation of all of our habits, is what we tell ourselves to do or not to do, or what we tell ourselves to believe.
Yeah, it's like the two go so hand in hand. It's like the chicken and the egg debate, like which one comes first. And that's why I actually, over 10 years of practicing health coaching, chose to focus on those two areas because, like you said, if your thoughts aren't right, if you don't think you're worth taking care of, if you don't love yourself and you can't speak kindness to yourself, you're never going to make the choices that you need to make to help yourself feel good. But also, you could be making all of the right choices. For a long time, I thought that I was. But if your gut is unwell, the inflammation that causes in your nervous system and in your brain, it impacts your mood. There's just no doubt about that. So all the right choices will be blocked by all of that inflammation in your brain, and you still won't feel like that best version of yourself. But when you put the two together, it's like that's where the magic is at.
It's the magic formula. We cracked
Yes.
it. I love that. Yeah, it's completely right. I love that you describe it too as these barriers. Like you can do all the right things. And so for those of you guys that don't know who I am, I'm Dr. Wendy O'Connor. I'm a positive psychologist and life strategist for women. I coach women on leaving a life of languishing behind and really embracing the ability to flourish and feel fulfilled. It's so nice to meet all of you guys. And so when we talk about barriers to our wellness and we just talk about checking the boxes and doing the right things, it's exactly what I work on with my clients as well. Is you can do all the right things. You can check all the boxes you think you're supposed to check, yet you're not happy, you're not fulfilled, you're not feeling joy, you're not excited or lit up by your life. There are blocks. And so Calie and I are really aligned in the work that we do is removing the blocks, like just so that you can enjoy life and feel healthy and happy and fulfilled and feel full of zest for your life again, which for so many of us has left, long gone, it's felt like. So I'm so happy that we get to chat about this and share with our audiences just the importance of not about checking the boxes. Checking the boxes doesn't get us to health, and it certainly doesn't get us to happiness. It's
Right.
about how to remove the blocks. So with that said, tell us a little bit about, Calie, how do you remove your own blocks? So tell us about how you do happiness. Are there any particular practices that may be mainstream, may not be mainstream, but that you really feel like are one of the biggest impacts and biggest influencers on your overall joy?
Yeah, so I'll give you guys my routine and my probably things that you guys are gonna be like, duh, I've heard that before a million times, and remind you that there is so much power in the little choices. But before I do, I think one of the biggest things that I did that removed a block for me, and you talked about this before I came on live about, real happiness. And I think that thing was accepting that life isn't always rainbows and sunshine. It's not always happy, and we all have struggles. And so if we are expecting life to be smooth and perfect all the time, and we are on social media and we are seeing only the best pieces of all these other people's lives, and we're thinking that that's how our life should be all the time, we're automatically setting ourselves up for struggle and failure because we're comparing to an absolutely unrealistic expectation. And I think one of the things that I've learned over the course of my 44 years in the hard times is that we should embrace them because those are the times when we're building resilience. And resilience is so important to overall happiness. Those are the periods where we're struggling the most. If we can embrace them and say, what can I learn from this time? Like, I'll be the first to admit, over the last year, my anxiety came back after 5 years of not really having it. My gut took a big hit from some, I had a liver infection. I had to take antibiotics. I had the big C. It destroys your gut. I had to rebuild my gut health. I was going through a tough time, and I live in California. Our lockdown has been pretty extreme here, so we were very isolated, and it was tough. And I had to embrace that hard time and say, how do I create happiness in these new unexpected circumstances? And it forced me to really work on how to choose it, how to create it, because it doesn't just happen. But in doing that, I've been able to come out on the other side and find new hobbies, new things that brought me joy. I couldn't depend on some of the old things that I used to turn to. They weren't available to me anymore. But this opened up a whole new world of things to me. You know, taking guitar lessons, like that wasn't on my radar screen beforehand, but whatever, like it's something fun. I love music. Like you have to find ways to create it, and you have to see the hard times as something that's been put in your path to guide you and to
Yeah.
help you think outside the box and move out of like whatever routine. Sometimes we get so caught up in our routines that we're just going through the motion, and
Yeah.
things have to get shaken up a little bit. So just embrace those tough times as opportunities to build resilience and grow as a human. And I
Yeah.
think that that will make us more able to find happiness in moments during those times instead of feeling angry or frustrated or blocked. So
Yeah.
that was one of the big keys for me first, and that's a really was an empowering mindset to develop.
It really,
But
I think that just even saying that, Calie, there are some members of the audience that are watching thinking, screw it. I don't want to look for the growth in the hardship. I don't want to look for the reason it was planted in my place. Screw that. I'm angry about this. I'm frustrated about this. This isn't fair. This isn't what I wanted. This isn't the life that I chose or that I anticipated. And so
yeah,
to say to those of you out there that may not be at the step of fully embracing the challenge and the strength and the resilience and the growth ahead for you, it's happening whether you like it or not, but you don't have to necessarily embrace it. You can also just focusing on that acceptance piece is like the big A. I honestly think that this is what separated those who went through COVID without too much hardship from those who really struggled. Was big A, was this, am I fighting against the reality of this situation and fighting against and struggling with it and playing tug of war that I'm never going to win, which is just going to cause so much extra suffering? Or am I dropping the rope and saying, okay, this is what it is. My choice is, what do I do with it? What
right.
with it versus against it. And so for those who cannot yet learned how to move from acceptance to embracing this challenge and the growth, that's okay. There isn't this pressure that you have to be like fully woke to this next chapter of your life and to be excited about it. But there is a really important, if not the most important thing that we share today, I think, is a willingness to accept the things out of our control. And the sooner that the shorter that we can create that space between that stimulus and that response by accepting what is and not fighting against it, the sooner we get to move on to a place where maybe there is embracing, or maybe there's a little bit of lightness or a little bit of joy, or maybe there's a pivot. And in that pivot, we create growth or strength. But I just wanted to say that because I know a lot of times the women I work with have the frustration and have the anger and the disappointment. And they're always wondering, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? And if I said to them, well, we just got to skip to embracing it, they'd be like, forget it. I can't do this. We talk about this, the building block of acceptance that worked for you when you went through COVID, worked for you when you had liver issues, worked for you when you've had hardships. What choice was there? You could fight against it and be angry and sad all day long, but you're not going to change your experience of life until you change your perception of what's actually going on. So I love that you brought that up, as just the power of your choice in that moment. It doesn't have to be as bad as it feels. We add the story that makes it bad.
Yeah, and I love that. I think something that I remind myself all the time is, Calie, you get to choose your story. So what do I want to make this mean? You know, and it's not to say that those moments weren't hard and that I didn't have emotions or feelings about them. Like I allow myself to be sad. I cried, you know, I was angry, I was pissed off, you know, and I would like vent, whether it was in my journal or vent to Nick or whatever it was. But then I choose not to stay in that place. So I could go there and then I could stay there and just be disgruntled and angry and pissed off all the time. Or I could have my moment, have my emotion, and then be like, okay, like this is the situation, it stinks. Having tools to pivot was super, super important to me. And we hear like so much about, different techniques and journaling. And I remember in the beginning, I just had to address journaling because I think like, and meditating. Journaling and meditating is like, I heard about it all the time, and I would like sit down to meditate and my brain would be like, ding, 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 ding. And I was like, I can't do this. How do people do this? And so one, you don't have to use like these prescriptive tools, but I did find that meditation can come in a lot of forms. And it's actually not about learning to quiet your mind. Like, you're not supposed to be able to turn your brain off and empty it of thoughts. You're supposed to be able to like calm it, to slow it down. And so what I found really worked for me was movement meditation. And that's why I love my workouts. And that's the first thing I do most mornings is get in exercise, because it's a time where my brain can be completely focused on what I'm doing, and I'm connecting my mind to my body. And if I could incorporate some positive thoughts, which was really tough in the beginning, but the more I practiced it, the easier it got. So simple affirmations like, I am getting stronger. I am taking care of myself. Like, just really basic things. You're looking in the mirror while you're doing the workout and thinking a positive thought about your body. Like, oh, I see some progress in my shoulder definition. Like, literally whatever it is, these little things can move your mind out of negativity for a period of time, kind of ground you in your body. And it's a way to move out. It's also going to give you those positive endorphins. It's going to help you like sweat, like, cardio for me, like helps me when I'm like angry. It's just a way to kind of like go all out and you just get that frustration out. But also walks. That was a big thing for me, especially over the course of this last year. Just getting out in nature and the wind and the sunshine and putting, a playlist on and my AirPods in and just moving my body was a really great way for me to reset after I felt those emotions. And then to say like, I'm going to take this walk, and when I come back, I'm going to do something constructive to move forward, whether it's make a list of the things I can control. What am I in control of? And what am I going to do with that? There's all these things I could focus on that I can't control. Let me make a list of the things I can control. And that was really empowering for me. So movement and identifying areas where I have choice and I have control and I can do something about it. That helps me shift from the negative, the angry, the frustration into positive and action, and being able to lift myself even just one rung higher on the emotion ladder. It's not about going from like anger or depression to elation. It's about moving up one rung at a time.
Absolutely. I love that. And it's really resonating with people to hear idea of using exercise as meditation, movement as meditation. The walks during COVID in particular, when we were under our lockdowns, saved me to just get out of my head. And all of a sudden, even if you start a walk or you start exercise in a funky mood, in a down mood or no energy, or you're angry or whatever's going on in your head, and you just get outside and you start to just naturally, organically notice what's around you. You notice the temperature, you notice the leaves in the trees, you notice the sounds of birds, you notice cars driving by. All of a sudden, your brain, because it's not going to be able to focus on those sounds and senses as well as all the things pissing you off in that moment, it gives your brain these little pauses, just these little inserted pauses to catch yourself. And I find that so healing for me, is to just be outside in nature, walking around, noticing the little pauses, and something catches me, and then it leads to another thought and leads to another thought. And before I know it, by the time I come back from my walk, I feel a little bit lighter, but more than lighter, I've noticed I feel a little bit more inspired. So there's something about that getting out in nature that actually has been shown in science to be as beneficial as standard meditation, kind of sitting there trying to quiet the mind. And so the idea that we could walk and meditate, exercise and meditate, be in nature and receive those meditative benefits is so empowering, because we can do that no matter what the state of affairs is, no matter what and no matter what our mood is. So if we come back just a tiny bit more inspired to live a life by choice and to ask ourselves just that question, what's the next one choice? What's one choice moving forward after this movement, after this workout, that could just allow me to set the dominoes in a different direction than the day started? Feel
Yes.
good to take those reins back again.
100%. I totally agree.
And you've had, Calie, your share of some hard days in the last year. So could you share with us maybe one of those hard days, how you navigated a hard day, a day that maybe you couldn't use movement as your healing practice of the day, and
Yeah.
hard to get out of a funk? Like, how did you do a hard day?
So I'll tell you guys about the day that I had to have surgery this year. So back in March, I found out that I had some bad cells. It wasn't cancer, but it was like some cells that my doctor said, they're not really behaving themselves, and we need to get them out. So I found out I had to have surgery, and I'm allergic to anesthesia. So I can't go under unless it's like absolutely necessary. And so for 2 months, I knew I had this surgery coming up. I couldn't go under. I had to like switch doctors because the first doctor wouldn't do the surgery without putting me under. So I was very stressed and really scared about this surgery for many reasons. One, going into a hospital during COVID, which I did end up getting COVID from my surgery. So I was afraid of going to the hospital because of that. I was afraid of the pain. It was like an anticipation of how much is this going to hurt because I can't have anesthesia. What's the recovery going to look like? How's this going to affect my business during this difficult time? I had all of this fear and anxiety that was building up for the course of like 2 months. And I got to the day of the surgery, and it actually ended up being the easiest day, like easier than the days leading up to it, because the anticipation was the scariest part. But I woke up that morning and I was like, okay, my body is about to go through something physical. And mentally, I'm putting myself in a worse place because all I'm allowing myself to think about is the negatives of the pain and the recovery and the fear of getting sick. So I was like, I have to stop it right now. So I went for a walk by myself with music in my ears, and I just focused on breathing like we just talked about. And then I've been practicing for a long time, the art of box breathing, which is just 4 inhales through your nose, you hold it for 4 breaths at the top, you exhale for 4, and you hold that exhale for 4 counts again. And you just do that on repeat. And it's very rhythmic, and it gives your brain something to think about. So I decided that all I was going to do was focus on my breath, even like on my way there, everything. And so I made a list of reasons that I could feel confident in my body. So I work out, that I eat healthy, that I've been working on my sleep, I've been taking supplements. I had like this whole list of things, ways that my body supports me, reminding myself of these like strengths that I had. And then I went in for the surgery. They like asked me, what could they do to make it more comfortable, all these things. And I was like, I just want to put my AirPods in. They wouldn't let me have like sound, but I put them in to drown out the other sounds in the surgery center because I wanted to go like in my mind. And so I closed my eyes and I did my breathing. And remember, you guys, there's heart rate monitors and all this stuff hooked up to me, and they're monitoring everything. And the nurse kept saying to me, like, are you good? You're okay? And I was like, yep, I'm fine. And I just kept doing my breathing. And at the end of the surgery, the doctor came to see me and she said, I need you to understand that what you did in there was not normal. She was like, I have never seen someone go through surgery, even on anesthesia, and have their heart rate and their blood pressure stay so normal and so level throughout the entire time.
Wow.
And it was like the breathing and just focusing my mind on, because of the counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 is very rhythmic. And so I was like in a meditative state, and it's something I'd never really honestly experienced before, the sense of calm that came over me. And it showed me the power of practicing these tools, because I never anticipated needing to use the breath work in that way. I had no idea the impact that it was going to have in that moment, but it allowed my body to go through that surgery so much easier. And while my body was going through a minor trauma, I was able to keep my brain and my heart rate and everything level. And so these little tools that we're using, we sometimes don't even realize the impact that they're having in our day-to-day lives, because we're just kind of like living life. You're not monitoring your heart rate or any of that kind of stuff. But being in that intense situation, it just really showed me the power of our thoughts and of something as simple as breathing. I mean, it was literally just 4 count breath work. It wasn't, I wouldn't consider myself someone who's like good at meditating, honestly. But I can count to 4 and I can breathe in and out through my nose. So, if you can do that, then you can control a lot of systems in your body.
You are amazing. I hardly understand how the story you told is truly what happened. It's like unbelievable that you were able to create this reality for yourself. Or is it unbelievable? That's the thing. I think that's the point you're making is we think that the solutions to our health or our happiness are these way complicated, over the top tools and experiences that we can't provide for ourselves. And yet here you are going through an experience that many, if not most people, would be terrified of, even going under anesthesia. And you were there coaching yourself through breath work and using your breath as the strongest tool you had available to you, plus pairing that with positive affirmations of my body will support me and I'm strong for this and I can do this. And you did it. You successfully kept your heart rate down and kept yourself calm, and you even wowed the doctors. Like, that's just amazing. It really is such a unique, incredible story.
And the thing too, I think that's really important to point out is that it wasn't like I didn't have any fear. Like I said, like I
Right.
was scared. I had fear. It wasn't like doubtful thoughts didn't creep into my mind in those moments, but it was like, there it is. And now I'm going to refocus on my breath. Like, oh, yep, I'm nervous. Is this going to hurt? Let me count to 4. Let me, like, can I feel that breath going into my belly? Like little things like that, thinking about like, okay, let me just focus on expanding my belly and contracting it while I breathe. Like, where else could I put my focus? So it wasn't that I was able to eliminate all fear and negativity. It was still there. I just was able to control it because I didn't focus on it. I didn't like take that thought and run with it.
Right. You didn't add the drama to the thoughts that naturally came out from your brain. Those fear-based thoughts or those anticipatory thoughts, you didn't just allow it to become a snowball and create such terror. You chose how you responded. So you chose to respond versus react to those thoughts. And you grabbed the reins in a super brave way that many, if not most of us, if not all of us listening, have never had a situation like that we have channeled our breath work and our control over how we respond to a situation as beautifully as you did. That's really incredible. That's really incredible. And I feel like one of the biggest lessons just to take away from your story is you have the power of choice. No matter how hard your struggle is today or how hard it was yesterday or how hard it will be tomorrow, the power is in the choice and the power is in the practice. And so bottom line is stop underestimating the power of simple strategies that don't cost you a penny and cost you time besides breathing for 4. Like you said, I know how to count to 4, so I can handle it. And everyone listening can count to 4. And so using these simple techniques of calming our brains and settling ourselves and grounding our nervous system gives us so much more power and control to experience our life. And that's an extreme example, an extreme story that I wish on no one to have to go through to get to that place. But this is something that you can use every single day in your life and have an incredible impact on your perception of the world and your life ahead. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
Really amazing. It's so amazing. Calie, tell us if you have, this is kind of like just to piggyback off of the story of going to the depths of fear and going to the depths of worry and the anticipation, which is always the hardest part of the whole experience, is the anticipation of it, because it's so much bigger in our head often than it ends up. But going through all of that, is there one thing, if you were to choose how you end this year, maybe given your last, 300 days of experiences, is there one thing that you really want to focus on in these last month and a half of 2021? If you could end the year feeling your happiest or feeling your strongest, what would you be doing?
That's funny that you asked that, because I've been reflecting on that exact question for like the last 3 weeks. And how do I want to end this year and go into the new year? And the biggest thing that I've honestly come up with, you guys, is focusing on more fun. So I have actually a running list in my notebook. It's sitting right over here next to me, where I've started to write down like all of the things that I think are fun. And sometimes in the hard moments, you're like, what is fun? Like there's all the things that I think are fun are taken away right now, and you could like get in that place. So I just started making a list of like everything fun that I could do. And I actually have been scheduling in one fun, like tiny thing a day, something that I think is fun each day, and then a bigger fun activity, something that's like an hour or 2 to 3 hours in the middle of my work week each week. And then Nick and I together have been working on choosing one fun thing each month that we can like look forward to, whether it's a road trip or an overnight trip or trying a new restaurant or whatever it is. So I'm intentionally scheduling more fun into my life.
I love it. I love that that's what you're focusing on. I've always said if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right, which doesn't, not everyone loves that saying of mine, but it's true. It's if you're not fun, you're not doing it right. What is this life for if it's not to have some fun and to lift your spirits and to seize and savor what you have in front of you? I love that you have this like 3-tier model of like little tiny fun, medium funds, and big funds. And now you have so much that you can like sprinkle your calendar with over the next couple of months. I can't wait to see. I hope you share the fun that you create, because so many women in particular really struggle with giving themselves permission to have fun.
Yeah.
Because heads, they should be doing something else. They should be more serious. They should be working harder. They should be home more. They should be accomplishing things instead of thinking of a fun as its own right, as its own accomplishment. That's what allows us to feel that momentum, that inspiration, that excitement, that zest. And it really does, as you experience this intense fun ahead, you will notice that all of a sudden the fun that you're having leads to new doors opening for you.
Yes.
Things or things that you're like, oh my gosh, that was so much more fun. I had no idea. What do I want to do now? You get to build on the fun. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And honestly, when I then come back to work, I'm in a better frame of mind. I have better energy. So I get more accomplished in less time when I have given myself permission to have fun instead of just grinding all the time, where simple tasks might take 10 times longer because you're drained, you're burnt out, your brain is tired. So let yourself have some fun and it will make the work easier.
I love this. I can't wait to see you share about your fun. I'm going to feel inspired by your fun. So thank you for just reminding everybody that fun can be a priority. It doesn't have to be to do something accomplished based or to grind it out. That's not what this life is meant for. It's meant to seize and savor. It's meant to have fun, enjoy it, to feel fulfilled. And you give yourselves permission to do as much or as little as you want. But honestly, Calie, I feel like you've shared so many golden nuggets with us today of just how to do happiness. Like it's about choosing it each and every day, despite the woes and despite the hardship. And I really love sharing this time with you. And I'm so grateful you got up so early to spend the time.
I loved it too, and I so appreciate chatting with you. I miss you. And I just want to issue a challenge to everybody that's watching to do one little fun thing today and tag Wendy and I. Show us how are you going to have a little bit of fun in your day today, because I know I would, and I know you would too. We would love to celebrate that for you guys. And
yes, let's celebrate all the fun. I love this challenge. All right, I'm in. Posting some more fun stuff on my page too. So follow us if you don't already. Coach Calie, Dr. Wendy O'Connor, we are here to support you in mind and body. And Calie, I will see you soon. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, you too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.